Friends, let's learn about the hip bone. Hip bone is also called as coxal or innominate bone, and it is a flat, large, irregular bone. It is formed by the three parts. One is ilium superiorly, pubis antero-inferiorly, ischium posterior-superiorly. The pubic parts of the both bones are connected by an cartilage, which is a secondary cartilaginous joint, and the both bones together form pelvic girdle, along with sacrum and posterior superior part form bony pelvis. The pubic and ischium are divided by an oval opening in case of males, triangular opening in case of females called obturator foramen. The ilium, pubis and ischium are fused at a cup-shaped hollow structure called acetabulum, which fuses with the head of the femur to form hip joint. Let's learn about the side determination. The acetabulum directed laterally, and the obturator foramen lies below and behind the acetabulum, and the expanded ilium lies above the acetabulum, and the obturator foramen is bounded by the thin pubis anteriorly and the thick strong ischium posteriorly. Hence, according to the side determination points, it is a right hip bone. Let's learn about the anatomical position. In anatomical position, the anterosuperior iliac spine and the pubic symphysis, which is cartilage, it is not present here, lies in the same coronal plane like this, and the pelvic surface of the body of the pubis lies backwards and upwards, and the symphysis, which is cartilage, lies in same median plane. It is the anatomical position of the. Let's learn about the ilium. Ilium is an upper expanded fan shaped bony plate like structure, and it contains an upper end called iliac crest and a small lower end which forms 2/5 of the acetabulum and fuses with the pubis antero-inferiorly and fuses with the ischium posterior-inferiorly, and it contains three borders. One is anterior border and posterior border. The posterior border of the ilium is continuous with the posterior border of ischium, and another one is the medial border. Medial border is also called as inlet of pelvis or iliac part of the weight line, and it contains three surfaces. One is ischial fossa or ischial surface between anterior border and medial border, and another one is sacropelvic surface which lies between medial border and posterior border, and another surface is gluteal surface which lies between anterior border and posterior border. Upper end of the ilium is called iliac crest, which is a broad convex ridge posteriorly, and it is concave in front and inwards, concave outwards behind, and the anterior limit of this iliac crest is called anterosuperior iliac spine, which is easily felt in living individuals, whereas the posterior limit is called posterior superior iliac spine, which is represented by a soft tissue dimple 4 cm lateral to the second sacral spine, and iliac crest is divided into an ventral segment and dorsal segment. The ventral segment is more than anterior 2/3 of the iliac crest, whereas the dorsal segment is less than posterior 1/3 of the iliac crest. The highest point of this iliac crest lies behind the midpoint of this iliac crest, somewhere between here, and it is corresponds to the intervertebral disc between L3 and L4. The anterior segment contains three parts. One is outer lip, an intermediate area, and inner lip. The posterior segment is divided by a longitudinal ridge into lateral slope and then median slope. And 5 cm behind this anterosuperior iliac spine, on outer lip, there is a roughened elevated area called iliac tubercle, and the line passing through this highest point of this iliac crest is called intercrestal line, whereas the line passing through the tubercles of the both hip bone is called intertubercular line. Let's learn about the borders of ilium. The anterior border starts from the anterosuperior iliac spine, and they represents a notch, and another elevated area called antero-inferior iliac spine, and this border runs towards the acetabulum. The lower part of this antero-inferior iliac spine is large, rough and triangular. The posterior border starts from the posterior superior iliac spine and then represents a small notch and another elevated area called posterior inferior iliac spine, and there is a large deep notch called greater sciatic notch, and it is continuous with the posterior border of ischium. Let's learn about the medial border. Medial border starts from the iliac crest where the ventral segment and dorsal segment are fused and extends up to the iliopubic eminence here. This is the medial border of the ilium. The lower rounded part from this point to this point, it is rounded and it forms the arcuate line and inlet of pelvis. And let's learn about the linear terminalis. Linea terminalis is formed by the sacral promontory, margin of ala of sacrum, the arcuate line, iliopubic eminence, the pectineal line here, the pubic crest here. This is the linea terminalis. With the linea terminalis of other side, it forms the inlet of pelvis. Let's learn about the gluteal surface. Gluteal surface is the outermost surface of the ilium, and it is concave in front and convex behind, and it contains three gluteal lines. The first one is the posterior gluteal line, which is the shortest line, and starts just in front of the 5 centimeters in front of the posterior superior iliac spine and directed backwards and downwards up to the point just in front of the posterior inferior iliac spine. The anterior gluteal line starts behind the 2.5 centimeters from the antero superior iliac spine, and it is directed backwards and downwards up to the middle of the upper border of the greater sciatic notch, and it is a longest gluteal line. And another gluteal line, that is inferior gluteal line, starts just behind and above the antero inferior iliac spine, and it runs horizontally at approximately and reaches the apex of the greater sciatic notch here, and it is ill defined posteriorly. Sacropelvic surface. The sacropelvic surface lies on inner surface of the ilium. The sacropelvic surface is separated from the iliac fossa by the medial border. The sacropelvic surface contains three surfaces. One is the iliac tuberosity. Here the iliac tuberosity lies just below the dorsal segment of the iliac crest, and the iliac tuberosity is the upper roughened area, and anterior inferior to the iliac tuberosity lies the auricular surface. The auricular surface is pitted area, and it is also called as articular surface because it articulates with the sacrum to form sacroiliac joint. This auricular surface is in the shape of an auricle. Next, another surface is the pelvic surface. It is smooth surface and lies antero-inferior to the auricular surface. This surface represents a sulcus here. This sulcus is in between the convex margin of auricular surface and upper border of greater sciatic notch. This sulcus is called periauricular sulcus. This sulcus provides attachment to the fibers of ventrosacroiliac ligament. This ligament is stretched in pregnancy. Hence, the sulcus is prominent in females than males. The pelvic surface forms the lateral wall of true pelvis or lesser pelvis. The iliac fossa or iliac surface is the large concave area in front of the medial border, and it forms the lateral wall of the greater pelvis or false pelvis, and it lies on inner surface of the ilium.
Let's learn about the muscle attachments. The anterosuperior iliac spine gives attachment to the lateral end of the inguinal ligament and also the sartorius muscle. The origin extends up to the upper half of the notch below the spine. And let's learn about the attachments on outer lip of the iliac crest in its ventral segment. The whole of the upper lip of the iliac crest provides attachment to the fascia lata and also the tensor fasciae lata up to in front of the tubercle, and also it provides insertion in its anterior 2/3 and also gives origin to the latissimus dorsi behind the highest point of the iliac crest.
On inner lip, the muscle attachments are like this. The anterior 2/3 of the iliac crest on inner lip provides attachment to the transverse abdominis. Deep to the transverse abdominis It provides attachment to the fascia transversalis and fascia iliaca. The posterior one-third of this inner lip of the iliac crest provides origin to the quadratus lumborum. Around the origin to the quadratus lumborum, it gives attachment to the thoracolumbar fascia. The intermediate area between the outer lip and inner lip in its anterior two-thirds gives origin to the internal oblique muscle, like here, like this here. Come to the attachments on dorsal segment. The lateral slope of this dorsal segment provides origin to the gluteus maximus. The medial slope provides origin to the erector spinae. Let's come to the anteroinferior iliac spine. The upper part provides origin to the straight head of rectus femoris. The lower roughened part gives attachment to the iliofemoral ligament. This ligament is also called as ligament of Bigelow. This ligament is the strongest ligament in our body. The posterior border of the ilium above the greater sciatic notch gives attachment to the fibers of sacrotuberous ligament. The posterior inferior iliac spine, lateral to this periauricular sulcus, gives origin to some fibers of the piriformis. Let's come to the attachments on gluteal surface. On gluteal surface, behind the posterior gluteal line, this surface gives attachment to the gluteus maximus. Between posterior and anterior gluteal lines, provides origin to the gluteus medius. And between the anterior gluteal line and inferior gluteal line, this area provides origin to the gluteus minimus. Below the inferior gluteal line, the groove above the acetabulum provides origin to the reflected head of rectus femoris. On iliac fossa, in its anterior two-thirds, it gives origin to the iliacus muscle, and lower grooved surface is covered by the iliac bursa. And let's come to the sacropelvic surface. On iliac tuberosity, the greatest surface gives attachment to the interosseous sarcoiliac ligament. Here, interosseous sarcoiliac ligament. Superiorly, the iliac tuberosity gives attachment to the iliolumbar ligament, and posteriorly, dorsal sacroiliac ligament. The convex margin of the auricular surface gives attachment to the ventral sacroiliac ligament. Here I have this image. Here the convex margin of the auricular surface gives attachment to the ventral sacroiliac ligament. The greater parts provides attachment to the interosseous sacroiliac ligament, and superiorly the iliac tuberosity gives attachment to the iliolumbar ligament, and posteriorly the dorsal sacroiliac ligament. Come to the attachments on pelvic surface. As I mentioned earlier, the periauricular surface provides attachment to the lowermost fibers of ventral sacroiliac ligament. Here, lateral to this provides origin to the some fibers of piriformis. Rest of the pelvic surface provides origin to the obturator internus. Let's learn about the pubis. Pubis is the antero-inferior part of the hip bone. It forms the 1/5 of the acetabulum and also anterior border of the obturator foramen. It contains three parts: body, the superior ramus and inferior ramus. Superior ramus lies superior-laterally and also inferior ramus lies inferior-laterally in anatomical position. And the superior ramus fuse with ilium to form iliopubic ramus, and the inferior ramus fuse with ischium to form conjoined ischiopubic ramus here. And this is the pubis. Come to the features of body of pubis. The body of pubis contains a superior border. The superior border is also called as pubic crest. At the lateral end of this pubic crest lies the pubic tubercle. This pubic tubercle is an important landmark, and it contains three surfaces. One is the posterior surface, and another one is medial surface or symphysial surface, and another one is anterior surface. Let's come to the features of anterior surface. The anterior surface is rough superomedially and smooth elsewhere. This anterior surface in anatomical position directed downwards, forwards, laterally, and the posterior surface is the pelvic surface, and it forms the lateral wall of true pelvis or lesser pelvis. In anatomical position, it directed upwards and backwards, and the posterior surface is related to the urinary bladder, and between the posterior surface and the urinary bladder lies a space. The space is called the retropubic space. The space is also called as space of Veitch, REIPZ, and this space contains fibrofatty tissue and venous plexus. The symphyseal surface with another hip bone forms secondary cartilaginous joint called pubic symphysis. Let's come to the features of superior pubic ramus. The superior ramus extends from the body of the pubis up to the acetabulum, and the superior ramus lies just above the obturator foramen. The superior ramus contains 3 borders, 3 surfaces, and 1 obturator foramen. Let's come to learn about the borders. This is the superior border, are also called as pecten pubis or pectineal line, and it extends just behind the pubic tubercle up to the posterior part of iliopubic eminence. It is a sharp crest-like line, and with the pubic crest, this pectineal line forms the pubic part of the arcuate line. And let's come to the another border. This is the anterior border or obturator crest. It is a rounded ridge, and it extends from the pubic tubercle up to the acetabular notch. Next border is the inferior border. It is a sharp border and forms the upper margin of the obturator foramen. These are the borders. Next come to the surfaces. There are 3 surfaces. Between the superior border and anterior border lies the pectineal surface. It is a triangular surface, and it extends from the pubic tubercle to iliopubic eminence. And another one is the pelvic surface, which lies between the superior border and inferior border, and this surface is smooth, and this surface is continuous with the pelvic surface of body of pubis. And another surface is the obturator surface, which lies between the anterior border and inferior border, and this surface represents a groove laterally. This groove is called obturator groove. Let's come to the features of inferior pubic ramus. Inferior pubic ramus extends from the body of the pubis to the ramus of ischium, and these are united together. Inferior ramus and ischial ramus united together to form conjoint ischiopubic ramus. This inferior ramus forms the medial border of the obturator foramen. Let's come to the attachments. This pubic tubercle is an important landmark, and this pubic tubercle gives attachment to the medial end of the inguinal ligament and also to the ascending loops of cremaster muscles. And in males, this pubic tubercle is crossed by the spermatic cord. This pubic tubercle also gives attachment to the apex of lacunar ligament and also to the lateral curves of superficial inguinal ring and also to the reflected part of the inguinal ligament. Come to the attachments on pubic crest. The medial part of the pubic crest is crossed by the medial head of rectus abdominis. The lateral part gives horizon to the pyramidalis in front of lateral head of rectus abdominis if the pyramidalis muscle is present, and the lateral part of this pubic crest also gives horizon to the lateral head of rectus abdominis. The whole of the pubic crest gives attachment to the fascia lata and also to the fascia transversalis and to the anterior wall of the rectus sheath. Come to the attachments on anterior surface of body of the pubis. Medial part of this anterior surface gives attachment to the anterior pubic ligament, and the angle between the pubic crest and the symphysis gives horizon to the adductor longus muscle, and from the margin of symphysis and also the inferior ramus, outer surface of inferior ramus and symphyseal margin gives horizon to the gracilis muscle. Lateral to the gracilis muscle, this part at the outer surface of inferior ramus gives attachment to the adductor brevis and also to the obturator externus along the margin of obturator foramen. Come to the attachments on posterior surface of body of the pubis. The levator ani takes origin from the middle part of this posterior surface, and laterally it gives origin to the obturator internus near the obturator margin, and it also gives attachment to the ligament called puboprostatic ligament medial to the levator ani muscle. Here. Come to the attachments on pectineal line. The medial part of this pectineal line gives attachment to the lacunar ligament in front and also to the conjoint tendon behind, and also this part of medial part of this pectineal line gives attachment to the fascia transversalis. Lateral to the attachment of the lacunar ligament, the whole length of the pectineal line gives attachment to the pectineal ligament. The whole length of this pectineal line gives horizon to the pectineus muscle, and the pectineus muscle is also covered by the pectineal fascia. And lateral most part of this pectineal line gives insertion to the psoas minor if it is present, and the upper part of the pectineal surface gives horizon to the pectineus muscle, and the pelvic surface is crossed by the spermatic cord in males and round ligament of uterus in females. The obturator groove here transmits the obturator vessels and nerves. Come to the features of ischium. Ischium is the posterior-inferior part of the hip bone, and it forms the 2/5 of the acetabulum. Here it forms the 2/5 of the acetabulum, and it forms the posterior boundary of the obturator foramen. And the ischium contains body. This is the body of the ischium, and a ramus. It fuses with the inferior ramus to form conjoined ischiopubic ramus here, medial to the obturator foramen. Come to the features of the body of the ischium. The body of the ischium has an upper end, this is the upper end, and a lower end, 3 borders, 3 surfaces. The upper end forms the posterior-inferior 2/5 of the acetabulum. The lower end represents the ischial tuberosity. The 3 borders are lateral border, which is rounded in upper part and sharp in lower part. The posterior border. The posterior border is continuous with the posterior border of the ilium, and it forms the lower border of greater sciatic notch, and also an elevated area here called ischial spine, and another notch here called lesser sciatic notch, and ends at the upper end of the ischial tuberosity, and another border called anterior border, which forms the posterior margin of the obturator foramen. And also it has 3 surfaces. Between the anterior surface and lateral surface lies the femoral surface. Between the lateral and posterior surface lies the dorsal surface, which is continuous with the dorsal surface of the ilium. And between the posterior and anterior surface lies the pelvic surface, which forms the lateral wall of true pelvis or lesser pelvis. Come to the features of ischial tuberosity. Ischial tuberosity is divided by a transverse ridge into upper area and lower area. The upper area again divided by an oblique ridge into superolateral area and inferomedial area. And the lower part again also divided by a longitudinal ridge into outer surface and inner surface. And this ischial tuberosity gives off ischial ramus, and there is a formation of acute angle between the body of the ischium and ramus of the ischium. And this is about the ischial tuberosity. Come to the features of conjoined ischiopubic rami. It is formed by the union of inferior pubic ramus and ischial ramus medial to the obturator foramen, and it is represented by a localized thickening. In this bone it is not clearly shown, hence I take the left hip bone. In the left hip bone it is shown here. It is represented by a localized thickening, and it has 2 borders. One is the upper border and another one is the lower border, and 2 surfaces. One is the outer surface and another one is the inner surface. Here the inner surface is divided by 2 transverse ridges into upper, middle and lower areas. These are the 2 transverse ridges. One is here and another one is here. These ridges divide the inner surface into 3 areas. One is the upper area, and another one is the medial area, and another is the inferior area or lower area. Come to the attachments. The ischial spine along its margin gives attachment to the sacrospinous ligament. The pelvic surface of ischial spine gives attachment to coccygeus muscle here, and also to the posterior most fibers of levator ani muscle here. The dorsal surface is crossed by 3 structures. From medial to lateral, they are pudendal nerve, internal pudendal vessels, nerve to obturator internus. This pudendal nerve and internal pudendal vessels enters the pudendal canal somewhere here. The nerve to obturator internus enters the lesser sciatic foramen and gives nerve supply to the obturator internus muscle. Come to the attachments on lesser sciatic notch. This lesser sciatic notch is covered by the hyaline cartilage and it is occupied by the tendon of obturator internus. There is a bursa is present below this tendon, and the upper and lower margins of this lesser sciatic notch gives origin to the superior gemellae and inferior gemellae respectively. Come to the attachments on femoral surface. The femoral surface along the obturator margin gives origin to the obturator externus muscle and also to the quadratus femoris along the lateral border of the upper part of the ischial tuberosity. The dorsal surface of the ischium has the following relationships. The upper convex area of the dorsal surface of the ischium is related to piriformis muscle and sciatic nerve and also to the nerve to the quadratus femoris. Earlier I mentioned in the groove there is a passage of tendon of obturator externus, but it is not obturator externus. Sorry for that. This groove passes the tendon of obturator internus. Here I have an image of tendon of obturator internus, as it takes origin from the pelvic surfaces of pubis, ilium and ischium. The tendon passes here like this. It passes through this groove and turns abruptly to reach the greater trochanter of femur. As it passes through this and reaches this groove and turns abruptly to reach the greater trochanter of femur. Come to the attachments on ischial tuberosity. The upper area, the superior-lateral area provides origin to semimembranosus. The inferomedial area provides origin to the semitendinosus and long head of biceps femoris. In lower part, the outer area gives origin to the adductor magnus, and also the inner area is filled with fibrofatty tissue and it supports the weight in sitting position. And the adductor magnus origin continues to the ramus of ischium and to the inferior ramus of pubis. Let's come to the pelvic surface. The major part of the pelvis surface of the ischium gives origin to the obturator internus. The lower end of the pelvic surface of the ischium forms the lateral wall of ischiorectal fossa. Come to the attachments on conjoined ischiopubic rami. It has an upper border which gives attachment to the obturator membrane, and it has inferior border. The inferior border of both hip bones form the pubic arch like this. This is the pubic arch, and the inferior border gives attachment to the fascia lata and also to the membranous layer of superficial fascia or colles fascia of perineal membrane. And the outer surface of conjoined ischiopubic ramus gives origin to the obturator externus and also to the adductor brevis gracilis. This both takes most of their origin from the pubic rami, whereas the adductor magnus takes its most of origin from the ischial ramus. And come to the inner surface. I will explain that inner surface in left hip bone. The inner surface is divided by two ridges. One is the outer ridge, which gives attachment to the upper layer of urinogenital diaphragm, and the lower ridge, which is gives attachment to the perineal membrane. These two ridges divide the inner surface into outer area, middle area and lower area. The outer area gives attachment to the obturator internus along the margin of obturator foramen, and the middle area gives attachment to the muscles like this follow: deep transverse perineae and sphincter urethrae and dorsal nerve of penis, internal pudendal vessels. These are the actual structures forming the urinogenital diaphragm. And the lower area gives attachment to the superficial transverse perineae, ischiocavernosus muscle, and also to the crus of penis in males and crus of clitoris in females. I will explain again. The outer area gives horizon to the obturator internus along the margin of obturator foramen. The middle area gives horizon to the deep transverse perineum, sphincter urethrae, dorsal nerve of penis, internal pudendal vessels. The lower area gives horizon to superficial transverse perineum and also ischiocavernosus muscle and crus of penis in males, crus of clitoris in females. In males, the lower border of this conjoined ischiopubic ramus is everted to give attachment to the crus of penis, and the outer ridge gives attachment to the upper layer of urinogenital diaphragm. The lower ridge gives attachment to the perineal membrane. Come to the features of acetabulum. This acetabulum is a cup-shaped hemispherical cavity located on lateral aspect of the hip bone, and it about its center, and it is directed laterally downwards and forwards. And the margins of acetabulum is deficient at inferiorly. Hence, the deficiency is bridged by the transverse acetabular ligament like this, and it forms a foramen here called acetabular foramen, through which medial circumflex iliac artery and obturator artery enters the acetabular cavity and supplies the hip joint. This is the non-articular roughened floor, and it is called acetabular fossa. It is filled with fat and it is lined by synovial membrane. This is the articular lunate surface, and it is also called as articular horseshoe shaped surface, and it is lined by the hyaline cartilage. It forms hip joint with the head of the femur, and the margins of the acetabulum gives attachment to the fibrocartilaginous structure called the acetabular labrum, which deepens the acetabular cavity. And this is about the acetabulum. Come to the features of obturator foramen. The obturator foramen is a large gap in the hip bone, and it is situated antero-inferior to the acetabulum in anatomical position like this. And the obturator foramen separates the pubis and ischium. The obturator foramen is oval in males and triangular small in females. The obturator foramen is closed by the obturator membrane along its margins except at the obturator groove. From the obturator groove, the obturator nerves and vessels come out of the pelvis. And this is about the obturator foramen, and this is about the hip bone. If you found this video is helpful, please like my video and subscribe my channel. Thank you.